empate ese penalti.
Però bueno, espereu que això no ha acabat. Àngel la deixa per Galarreta. Galarreta que se'n vol anar cap a un terra, reclama la falta, diu que no l'àrbitre. Jo creo que l'havia, però bueno, deja seguir el colegiado. Intenta sortir Osasuna y le va a caer la amarilla por protestar a Galarreta. La amarilla por protestar a Galarreta. Bueno, el público evidentemente que no se mueve del Villa Mallorca Estadi con este resultado, minuto 25 y medio. Y yo no sé al final cuántos minutos han añadido.
Yo creo que es una falta que puede pitar perfectamente. Le ha hecho la croqueta rápida ahí. También el jugador es cierto que busca quizá también la falta, pero vamos, así como está el partido, raro que no lo haya pitado.
Bueno, pues va a ser balón para Osasuna, balón en largo. Baba que se la vol quedar, la lleva de damunt, segurament si la pot punxar Àngel. Àngel que condueix perfectament, que se gira, està fresc, evidentment, volia jugar curtat aquí per Jaume Costa, ara sí Adon Prats que apareix, pot ser una de les darreres del Mallorca. Vinga Lago que va per aquesta banda esquerra, Laguito Júnior, aquesta és la teva jugada, se'n va cap al centre, Lago Júnior, al darrer instant, Unai García que li ha pres la pilota, servirà davant del Mallorca.
A ponerla en el área.
96 y medio. La posarà dintre de l'àrea. Olivan cercant aquí a Tom Prats que la volia pentinar. La pilota que li cau a Galarreta. Galarreta que la torna a posar cercant ara Lago Júnior. L'avantatge aquí en principi per la defensa. Javi Martínez que se la lleva també damunt, serà banda pel Mallorca.
Venga, balón a la olla.
Hay que ponerla ya, por supuesto, otra vez a la desesperada.
Hay que subir, hay que subir.
Jaume Costa.
10 de añadido han dado.
La pone ahí buscando a Martín Valgen. No llega Dani Rodríguez, rebutja la defensa. La pilota que impacta en Baba, el misto, el jugador d'Osasuna. El rebuig ara sí de Rubén García. La pilota que cau a la zona de Joan Sastre, i alerta que amb aquest bot és complicat. Posa el cap Joan Sastre.
Está bien, está de espalda, te presionan al portero. Yo creo que ha hecho lo correcto en esa situación. Es muy peligrosa para el defensa.
Con el minuto que llevamos pedía otra cosa, pero era mucho riesgo.
Pues se le está escapando el partido al Mallorca, evidentemente, con este resultado 2-3, minuto 97 y medio. Osasuna que va a tardar, por supuesto, y lo entendemos, en hacer este saque de banda.
Y seguramente se vaya al córner, ¿no?
Bueno, pues no, finalmente Manu Sánchez ha jugado aquí con su compañero, que ahora sí intentaba progresar por aquí. Problemas per Galarreta, banda a favor del Real Mallorca, y a ver si hay tiempo y acercarse al área de Sergio Herrera. Joan Sastre cercant d'alta, Don Prats que la pentina per Àngel, que juga, que habilita per Baba, Baba que toca encurtat aquí per Dani Rodríguez. Problemes per Dani per sortir Joan Sastre y xiularà la falta damunt Dani Rodríguez. Bueno, pues tiene que ser esta. Hay que ponerla arriba. 98 de encuentro, 2-3 en el marcador. Ningú se'n va del Villa Mallorca Estadi. L'heroi que vol fer l'empat a 3 al Mallorca. En aquesta setena jornada la posarà Dani Rodríguez. La línia de Osasuna bastante alejada de la frontal del área. La posa Rodríguez, cercant aquí a Lago Júnior.
Muy alejada.
Ha fet un rebuig en joc d'una passada. El cap de Galarreta. Se li queda pot ser bona per Àngel dintre l'àrea. Cau en terra. Diu que l'han agafat. Jaume Costa que aconsegueix jugar per aquesta banda esquerra. Vol fer la centrada directament fora. Se quejaba a los jugadores del Real Mallorca que le había tocado córner. Bueno, pues va a ser córner, pide Dominic poder subir al remate.
Que suba.
Pide Dominic poder subir al remate.
Sube, le está diciendo.
Sube, claro. Le dice Luis García que suba. Bueno, pues puede ser la última. Minuto 99 de partido. Sube el portero, sube Dominic al remate.
Como si marca, madre de Dios.
Bueno, si marca se cae el estadio. Si marca se cae el estadio. Preparat el corner. Preparat Galarreta. Aquí està. Pot per la darrere, cerca la rematada. A les mans. A las mans del porter. A las mans de Herrera.
Con lo grande que es, tiene que ir al primer palo a intentar molestar, aunque sea la visión del equipo contrario.
Bueno, pues 99 i mig. L'àrbitre que encara no mira el seu rellotge. La posarà Herrera. La pilotada llarga, cercant el davanter, cercant a Quique García, el cap d'Olivan. Se li queda el Lago Júnior, aconsegueix jugar per Baba. Han de tenir una més, pot ser aquesta. Puja per aquesta banda dreta. Joan Sastre, la bala de Porreres. Han d'arribar aviat a la porteria, la posa Joan Sastre, aquesta pilota, la vol baixar amb el cap, li cau a Don Prats, se gira, cau enterrat Don Prats, no hi ha falta. L'esfèrica que li torna a caure Joan Sastre.
Falta.
Jo crec que és falta, Jo crec que és falta. Y es balón para Osasuna. Bueno, pues saque de banda para Osasuna. Se le echaron encima a Joan Sastre. Estamos ya en el minuto 100. Estamos ya en el minuto 100.
Yo creo que aquí ya termina el partido en esta jugada.
Bueno, pues lo intentó el Mallorca hasta el final. Lo intentó el Mallorca hasta el final, pero de momento Osasuna que se va a llegar el gato al agua. Manu Sánchez per aquesta part esquerra. La combinació aquí amb Quique García. Recupera Martín Valle. No. Li cau la falta. La pita al Colellat. Y ahora sí, aquí Osasuna, por supuesto, que va a intentar matar el partido de manera definitiva. Que enfada muchísimo Martín Valle.
Quique hacia el córner.
Es lo lógico ahora, aguantar el balón. Y claro, los jugadores del Mallorca se quejan fruto de la desesperación ya, ¿no?
Que es frustrante como jugador ver que has hecho todo, que has jugado bien, que has tenido ocasiones, que has creado, que has estado por delante, le has dado la vuelta al partido y que en una jugada, quizás la única de peligro o la segunda, en toda la segunda parte, que el equipo contrario te marque.
Molta impotència també dels jugadors del Real Mallorca segurament en aquesta recta final del partit. Ara els jugadors d'Osasuna, evidentment que s'ho agafen en calma, i va Manu Sánchez per fer aquest servei de banda. Som ja al minut 101 i mig.
Esto ya ahora aguantar el balón ahí en la esquina.
La posarà Manu Sánchez. La pentina encercant aquí a Quique García, que intenta girar-se, la torna a posar dintre l'àrea. L'avantatge aquí per Dani Rodríguez. Serà servei de porteria. Treu ràpidament ara Dominic, que vol veure si el Mallorca li dona temps a acostar-se a l'àrea rival. Jaume Costa per aquesta part esquerra. La deixa per Galarreta. L'àrbitre com no pita, Galarreta per baix. No poden perdre aquesta pilota aquí. No poden perdre aquesta pilota aquí. Recupera Osasuna, que evidentment s'ho agafarà en calma. Javi Martínez, que encara a Jaume Costa, i ara s'acaba. S'acaba el partit aquí al Vise Mallorca Estadi. La victòria d'Osasuna, que pràcticament hay jugadores.
So the match is over here in Mallorca Stadium. Victory for Osasuna, which they can't barely celebrate anyway because they're absolutely exhausted after this monster of a match. But the Mallorca players are defeated because of the result and also because of the tiredness, everything a little bit. Nothing negative to say about the team, who gave it their all right until the last minute. But Osasuna made the most of that only opportunity they had in the second half to get that 3-2 result and to disallow the draw for a Mallorca team. Angel's offside and the revision from the bar did not allow that penalty that Mallorca would have had in order to draw with Osasuna. Osasuna's players are celebrating the victory in the centre of the pitch, a very important victory for them after their defeat against Betis. And this has been another round for Mallorca, one of those that really hurt. And it's commendable for all the fans that have stayed to applaud the Mallorca team in this stadium today. So congratulations to you, Carlos Cuellar. Your team won today. We've had a real spectacle here today. Yes, right from the off, something that we didn't expect. Both teams giving their all, creating really good experiences.
Por cansancio hemos visto los jugadores exhaustos, pues no nos han dado ese espectáculo, pero ha sido un fútbol bonito que los dos ofrecían.
I think the second half, due to the exhaustion from both teams, we didn't see the same show as we had this performance that we did in the first half, but that's completely normal. In the second half, we haven't been able to enjoy moments like we did in the first half. But in the end, it was whoever got the luck in the end, and for me, in my case, it was luck that it was Osasuna. But I think there's nothing negative we can say about Mallorca's players today with the work they put in, the opportunities and the intensity. They had it right until the last minute, and it could have easily been the opposite result or a draw in the end, and we would be talking exactly the same. Today we saw a couple of players with some problems. We were talking about some changes that we saw today. I think, the concept of the timetables here is something that could be revised. because we are, at the end of the day, putting at risk the physical condition and health of the players. Of course, you can get heat stroke or sunstroke in these conditions. Now we're going to hear from Yago Junior, who is just his 200th match for Mallorca team.
Carlos Cuellar, la verdad es que ha sido un placer, Carlos, el haberte tenido hoy aquí de invitado.
El placer ha sido mío.
So we'd like to say thank you to Carlos Cuellar for being our special guest today. Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed the company and the match, so thank you very much. So have a good trip, safe trip back. So Carlos Cuellar is leaving us, especially because he needs to go back to the airport to return home. So we're staying here with Juanjo Dobla, and we're about to hear from Lau García.
Vaya jarro de agua fría, ¿no? Después de todo el desgaste, de cómo hemos visto a los jugadores.
What a disappointment, and what a jug of cold water over our heads after this result.
Que ha sido un auténtico placer, un lujo haberle tenido hoy aquí con nosotros. Hemos, la verdad, que disfrutado con sus.
Again, thank you to Carlos Cuellar for his commentary and because of his for his presence here today. So here we go to Lago Junior now.
Aquí en el Bici de Mallorca Stadi.
Sí. Estamos jodidos, no estamos tristes. Yo creo que ha sido un partido.
Obviously, we're disappointed. We're sad. It was quite a complete match from the whole team. We worked really well. We even had the luck of getting ourselves ahead at one point, but they're a good team too. They had very high quality and good players today. It's a shame, but we need to honor the efforts. It's a shame that it's quite an unfair result after the 90 minutes and after Mallorca's results. Yes, we had some very clear opportunities, but that's football at the end of the day. If it doesn't go in the net, then it is what it is. They had the luck of getting that third goal, and it's not over. We have to think about Levante and go forward and see how it goes. Yes, that's the thing. You're playing again next week in front of your audience on the same pitch, depending. The problem is the time. We know it's a difficult time with the heat. In Mallorca, playing at 2 p.m. is a nightmare for everybody, but that's not an excuse either. The team gave it all their all today, and it wasn't enough in the end. That's what we'll do in every match, and keeping on like this, the results will come. Those are Lago Junior's words today, obviously disappointed after today's result. Thank you for that super flash interview with Lago Junior. Obviously, it has not been the best day for him to be able to celebrate his 200th match for Mallorca. He would have been happier if he had achieved at least a point in this tough match that they've had today. Here are some stats for the pitch for the match we've just witnessed. 17 shots, 8 towards goal, 2 yellow cards, 5 corners for each team. Quite balanced possession for each team. It's been quite a similar match and also a very balanced match for both teams. I think Mallorca played well. It's a shame that in the last minutes they weren't able to take advantage of those few opportunities that they had, because of course that would have made all the difference. It started with 1-0 and then managed to come back up. And then OSASUNA managed to bring it back again. But there were a couple of minutes in the second half where we were a little more indecisive, and maybe that is something that we can organize better for future matches. And something that OSASUNA did very clearly in the second half, which was their comeback. It is a shame because this is now 2 consecutive defeats. Yes, that's the thing. We were excited. We were looking forward to breaking with that streak of losses recently. Of course, we have been up against 3 very strong rivals with Bilbao, Madrid, and today OSASUNA.
En la que pues el resultado iba 2-2, decíamos, los dos equipos quieren ganar, pero sobre todo ninguno quiere perder, y esta.
As we've been saying, both teams wanted to win, but especially none of the teams wanted to lose. And the second half really punished us. Yeah, as I was saying, Osasuna obviously played very well as well. They had a very good match. They were capable of playing very well, very good game and very many points in the match. But Mallorca, it's not that they played badly, it's just that they had a very physically strong rival that really closed themselves off at the back. And this stopped the striking from Mallorca at many points. I think the fairest result for this match would have been a draw. It's unfortunate that in the end it's a defeat. And from now on, we need to look at our next rival, which is Levante, and take it with a pinch of salt, and take it in a very calm way. And Mallorca can't let this happen to them again. Yes, so next weekend, Mallorca has another home match. It will be at 4:15 in the afternoon next Saturday, so it won't be so hot. Obviously, we're all here sweating and really suffering in this heat. We saw this in the match with some physical problems that many players have suffered throughout the match, with the change of Ferniño and also the change of the wingers. But it has been sweltering today, the temperature, and it has affected the match as well. We ended up having 101 minutes of match today, so there was lots of extra time, especially with lots of changes, lots of physical problems as well, after an extremely grueling week with 3 matches. So now the priority is to recover both with morale and also physically. Yes, like Lago Junior was saying, that these timetables are very difficult to maintain. But as players, in matches that are so intense as today, especially in the first half, we need the match to do a counter-attack that is much quicker than it was today. Yeah, we saw players pull muscles today. We saw, and this is all part of a football match, of course. But we have to say that it was fair because both teams did suffer in equal measures. But as we said, we have now had 2 consecutive defeats. But against Levante, we do need an assured victory, which otherwise it will be dangerous. So now we're in the post-match phase, in which we're going to be listening to some of the main characters of the match. We've already listened to Lago Junior, and we'll be hearing from more players later in the Super Flash interviews, just to know a little bit more about the impression that the players have had in the changing rooms. In La Liga's rules, there are some things that are very established, and today it is going to be quite difficult for all the players to come out at the established time, because a lot of the players are going to be exhausted in the changing rooms, receiving massages, receiving physios, and they're going to be completely very tired. Yes, of course, the players need to recover physically from the wear and tear of the match, and then obviously they won't be looking forward either to coming out and talking to journalists and giving some explanations. Not because you don't want to defend yourself, because Mallorca, and from my point of view, have played very well. They tried to maintain possession. They had 56% of possession of the ball, so we did that pretty well. However, we didn't manage to get that continuity. We didn't manage to get those goals in the back of the net that the Osasuna team did. So I know Mallorca would have been happy with the draw in today's match, but unfortunately we had this blow, and hopefully we can come back from it.
clasificación a la espera de que
So
termine la
Mallorca
jornada,
is
ya que
right now the 12th in the 12th
tienen que
position,
disputar sus partidos. Fíjate, ¿no?, que la victoria de
but
Osasuna hoy
there are
aquí en
still
el
teams that still need to
también
play
después
today.
de una derrota, pues lo sitúa momentáneamente en la sexta plaza, ¿no? Con 11 puntos, ¿no? Tenían 8 puntos los dos equipos.
So obviously Osasuna, after today's win, now go up to the 6th position with those 3 points that they have gained today. But that's something that Mallorca has learned, that when you're in the first division, you cannot you cannot allow consecutive defeats. However, it's not all bad. It was a 2-3 defeat, but it wasn't a bad match from Mallorca. It was a well-played match. And unfortunately, they won't be getting those points, and the points that can only be won by winning the matches. Yes, of course, as we've been saying with Carlos, it's all in the details. Both teams were giving very interesting football. That's why we've been talking about a spectacle, because it was full of exciting moments, but the difference is in the details. Mallorca needs to learn to take advantage of these moments or these weaknesses from the other team, because they had a lot of opportunities, and Mallorca needs to take advantage of it. We saw Ferniño that before half-time he was able to put us ahead of Osasuna. And then it was Osasuna who in the second half needed to give it their all. But I don't think Mallorca knew how to come back and maintain that in the second half. Yes, I'm just looking here at the temperature, so it's still 29 degrees. So it seems that it's even hotter now than it was at the beginning of the morning today. Yes, of course. I mean, obviously, both teams needed to play at this time today, but it is absolutely it's a killer for the other players. Okay, we've got Dominic de Grief here.
Dominic, it has been your first match with Real Mallorca. Bad feeling, no? The final for the result.
Yeah, of course, you don't dream about the debut like this. To get the 3 goals as a goalkeeper, for sure, you cannot be satisfied. Of course, obviously, it's nice to make a debut and play a first game in such a great league and in front of such a great crowd as we had today. But yeah, I'm very disappointed, and also we are very disappointed with the result.
It has been a crazy first half, no? Luis Garcia has told it. Crazy first half, and the second half more quiet, but finally the...
Yeah, I would say maybe also because of the weather. It was really hot today, so in the second half you could have seen on the players they were really tired, but yeah, in the first half we scored two nice goals, and it's really a shame we couldn't hold it.
And finally the late drama, no? With the VAR, the decision, offside.
Yeah,
finally it has not been the penalty.
Yeah, what can we do? We have VAR, so it's probably right decision. I cannot see it from the other side of the pitch. Of course, there was nice emotions after the referee whistled the penalty for us, but with the VAR you never know today. You cannot be sure. Even after the score goals, you'll first celebrate and after might be cancelled. So it is what it is. We have to looking forward to the other game again, home here with these great fans, and try to make better.
Thank you, Dominic.
Thanks.
Bueno, las palabras de Dominic Grave, que bueno, pues ha dicho evidentemente que no es el debut, ¿no?
So some words from de Grief here. So it's not the debut that he dreamed of, definitely not. To have 3 goals, probably not what you hope for in your debut match. Obviously, you could see from the tone of his voice and his face, it's been a complicated day from him. Obviously, even though it's not your fault, it's very disappointing, a result for you in your debut match. He wasn't happy with the result, especially for providing that for the fans. Especially as he was talking about with Albert Salas, with the decision from the bar and disallowing the penalty. It's a very tense moment. To have a penalty taken away from you in the last seconds of a match.
de este sábado a las 4:15 de la tarde. Bueno, primer partido para...
So we'll see how Levante match goes next Saturday at around 4 p.m.
Lo decíamos durante la transmisión, está claro que ese primer gol pues quizá podría haber hecho alguna cosita más y sobre todo supongo que a él le va a quedar esa sensación, ¿no?
Sí, está claro que cuando uno debuta con el equipo...
Of course, when somebody debuts with a team, the idea is to win the match. And of course, he can't be happy with this defeat. On an individual level, he's done a regular match. He hasn't had particularly dangerous situation. He couldn't have done much more than he did, which apart from the first goal that he allowed, which he could have done more to save. But I think he did a good match. He saved a second goal. And I think on a general level, we could say it was a good debut for him as a goalkeeper. But of course, it's normal that he's angry. So as we were saying through the match, he did allow the goal in the 8th minute which was very fast, very powerful. He did actually manage to hit the ball with his hand to save it, but perhaps it was a bit of a late reaction, and in the end, it was a goal for the other team. However, the next time, he did manage to save the goal. However, for the last 2 goals, it was completely impossible for him to do anything in that sense. Inigo Perez's drawing goal that came up to 2-2 was a fantastic shot where he couldn't have done much else to avoid the goal. And then Javi Martinez 3-2 goal, which where the goalkeeper couldn't do much to stop it, unfortunately. Exactly. I think what we can take away from Dominic's debut here is that even though Manolo Reina is the main goalkeeper, now that we know that we have a substitute goalkeeper that has a lot to give for Mallorca, a lot to show. We're now going to go and listen to Ferniño.
Sensaciones, bueno, tú en tu caso también con ese dolor, ¿no? Que se extiende a todo, ¿no? Por el resultado, por el dolor también.
How did you feel today? Obviously, there's there because of their the injury and also because of the result. Yes. Obviously, I feel that the defeat was a bit unfair from my point of view. I think we deserved a lot more than we got today. I think
y bueno, ya al final también lo de el 2-3 también creo que hemos venido un poquito abajo.
Towards the end, the 3-2, I think that obviously affected our morale. The disallowed penalty just made everything a bit worse for us. But obviously, we have to stay with the positive, which is that we did a good job, and keep going.
Cuando estaba, como tú dices, controlado, ¿no? Ese gol de falta de Íñigo Pérez, ¿no?
Yeah, I think obviously you had a great first half, and then the second half was a little bit more control slipped a little bit. I think the second half brought us a lot of frustration after the high from the first half. And all we can do is just keep working like we have done until now and compete against every team that comes and go all out against Levante. How is the injury and the pain in the calf muscle? I think it won't be much. I think I just pulled my calf jumping. I noticed it as soon as I jumped, so I just had to change as soon as I landed. So now you've got a chance to redeem yourself now next weekend against Levante and assess the things that you do well and also have a look at the things that we need to improve. Yeah, I think we need to keep working as we have done until now. Keep doing the good things and also work on the bad things. And get back up and do a good match, and hopefully we'll win. Okay, so those were Ferniño's words there. Obviously, after he was forced to make the change on today's match, we don't know yet if he is injured or whether it is simply a consequence of a big jump. But it's a very, very good news that he was able to get his second goal in a Mallorca shirt, which is important for him. Yes, of course, in the first place, on an individual level, Ferniño had a really good match. I think he really stood up to the midfielders of Osasuna today, and he put in all the effort that he could have. And again, then from the few occasions he had, he managed to get in that second goal. I think in that second moment, in the moment when Osasuna scored their second goal, that was the moment when they saw that they did have what it takes to maybe put the brakes on Mallorca's aspirations for today. So it is 26 minutes past 4 today, and here we are in the post-match. We've already listened to 3 players today from Mallorca. We've heard from Lago Junior. We've also heard from Dominique in his debut, who obviously he was disappointed. And we've just heard from Ferniño, who managed to score his second goal this season. The first one against the Deportivo Alavés. And today his goal managed to put Mallorca back in front of Osasuna. The end of the both halves were very interesting today. In the first one, which put Mallorca in front of Osasuna, and then in the second half, obviously, very intense. And here we go into Luis García Plaza.
Buenas tardes, estamos aquí con Luis García Plaza a vuestra disposición y pidiendo turno.
You were with Luis García Plaza.
Si os podéis identificar con nombre y medio, mejor.
Hola, mister. Paco Muñoz de Onda Cero.
Hola.
Hi from Onda Cero.
Cuando ve que puede empatar de penalti, que la jugada había pasado ya desde que anula la acción.
How does one feel when you see that you can draw and then a penalty is disallowed? And then with the whole VAR decision, I'm trying to think about it, but it's, how do you feel? Well, it is what it is. I mean, that's what they've decided, but until when can the VAR revise the decision? We didn't know that they had whistled offside. Last year it happened twice in second division, but well, if it's offside, I can't really say anything, but from what I remember, it's difficult. Last year I saw how one team was allowed it and then another team wasn't.
Quina raó determina aquest resultat final? Què razones determina? Quina raó determina aquest resultat final, aquesta derrota? Quina lectura fa?
Which reasons determine this end result? I think right now the right choices. A match in which the first half ended up 4-4, for example, really open for both teams. And then in the second half, we were trying to steer it towards where we needed to go. And you see what happened. That's first division. We're not in second division anymore.
Creo que no recuerdo ni un acercamiento a Osasuna hasta el final. Ellos prácticamente incluso iban tranquilos a sacar, el portero tomaba su tiempo.
I think Osasuna were very calm. They were taking their time with everything, which is great and very respectable. But in the end, they had one magic touch. Things happen, and there you go. That's what happens. I think we need to assess the moment that we're in with lots of problems and hope that they start solving themselves.
Por ejemplo, teníamos una posibilidad de hacer cambios y no los puedo hacer hasta el final porque la gente atrás está muy tiesa, está muy justa y aguanta míster.
At the end of the day, there were some to do, and I didn't have the chance to put them into practice until the end of the match. I think Fer's injury is nothing important. I do think he just pulled a calf muscle, and Akanji neither. I think they're all exhausted. Martin has done all the matches this week, and I think the team needed refreshments I wasn't able to provide.
Sí, mister Tomeo Terrasales, Radio. Le tengo que preguntar por el cambio de portería, un cambio que llama la atención sin lugar a dudas.
I'm going to ask you about the change of goalkeeper. An interesting change, of course. he is another player on the team, and I wanted to let him try and have a go. And I wanted to try with Dominic today, and that's it. I think maybe it wasn't so clear last year, but for example, in other teams, like such as Levante, they were switching around all the time. I think it's not a problem if I have two goalkeepers and sometimes I want one to play and sometimes I want the other. I just think it's an opportunity and something that we needed to give him, and that's all. There's nothing strange going on there. You know me.
Para puntualizar el tema de Dominic, simplemente
from IB3.
Comentaste en rueda de prensa que había veces que los debuts los podías elegir y otros no. No sé si durante la semana lo habías elegido por
You commented yesterday that sometimes debuts are chosen and sometimes they can't be chosen. Did you choose him for any particular reason? No, I just think that he needed to play and that's it. I think it's the same as with everything in the end. If we had won, you would have said it was a great decision, but because we've lost, then obviously you always look for certain reasons. I think he's just another goalkeeper that we have, and we've had the bad luck on his debut. He wasn't win with the team, but we've had a week with 3 matches. And we thought that maybe the change of goalkeeper, it could have helped us. Don't fear changes because there could be many more changes and maybe they'll be changing over depending on the team.
¿Qué te ha parecido su partido de Dominic? Porque también es injusto, ¿no? Igual el marcador por lo que ha podido hacer.
What did you think of Dominic's match? Because maybe the end result does seem quite unfair in comparison to how he played. And also we have seen some serious mistakes in our defense. Does it worry you, or do you think that when the normal midfielders come back, it will be solved? I think today the first goal was from 20 meters away, so I don't know how you can criticize the defense. I think you're looking for analysis where you can't analyze anything. I don't think it was the fault of our defense today. There have to be mistakes. We're in first division. We're a team with lots of problems right now. There are people that are injured. There are people that are not available. So we're doing what we can. We're doing our best. Today, before the match, we saw that one of our players on crutches. Exactly what is happening with his knee? Some press think that it's a meniscus problem on his knee. He's just got knee problems, that's it. It's not extremely serious. Knee problems are obviously always complicated, but it's not he's not that in pain. We can get used to him not being on the pitch for a while, I think. It's a complicated situation. And what's more?
Estamos todos juntitos y les ayudamos porque no es fácil, Un equipo de primera división, lo que le está pasando no es fácil,
It's not an easy thing for a first division team to have all this with losing all their players to injuries right now, so give them time. So when we're fighting for it, the boys really are fighting for the results. Hi, from Cadena Ser.
El tipo de encuentro que habías planificado, si ha llevado al final OSASUNA un poco más a su terreno, saber cómo valoras.
What's your general opinion on the match? Did it turn out how you planned?
En la pierna fortuito, luego se ha retirado cojeando con hielo en la rodilla.
Can you tell us more about Ferniño, who in the end looked like a small jump and in the end came off the pitch with ice on his leg? No, I think he literally just pulled a calf muscle by jumping. And then it just wasn't coming back down, so And I don't think Osasuna took the whole match into their territory. I think on the offense, both teams were very good. I think we had tough moments, so did they. I think in the second half, we ended up very well. And then on the second half was when things weren't really happening that much. And I think we reached the end better than them, but then a right decision from somebody, and you see what happens. But I thought it was a very balanced match from my point of view. At the end of the day, whoever makes the right decision at the end wins. Obviously, then I will watch the match at home and I will analyze it better. But from my point of view, I thought it was quite balanced, and obviously some moments were better than others.
Posiblemente ha llegado el momento, ¿no? Ese momento tan anunciado por Luis García Plaza ha llegado, y quizás también una de las semanas, por no decir quizás la peor.
Maybe the time is here.
De situación, no de juego y esas cosas, sino de todo lo que
sense of the situation of the team and everything that's been swirling around this week. Yes, obviously it's a tough time for the team. It's not logical what we've had to go through until now and what we're going through. So obviously I lose my midfielder, then I lose my substitute midfielder. Well, obviously it's not something you expect. It's something that is very surprising. So obviously all as well trauma injuries as well. Yes, there are complicated things that happen at the beginning of the season. Football has these things, though. When you enter into that dynamic of the injuries and things like that, things start going slightly wrong. Today, for example, was a match that we didn't deserve to lose. Maybe we needed more right decisions to win, but we also didn't deserve to lose. So we need to try and get out of this rut, and hopefully with Levante, that will be the turning point, and then we'll be on track for the rest of the season.
Sí, Juan Roca de Radio Marca y SIGUE. Quería preguntarte, Luis, por cómo está el
Hi from
vestuario,
Marca
son dos
Radio.
derrotas consecutivas ahora mismo. El inicio ha sido
I wanted to know how the changing room atmosphere was after these two defeats, but the bad moments have arrived. How do you see the boys and the players in this tough moment that Mallorca is going through? Don't talk to me about the Madrid match. Let's just leave it out of this. I don't want to talk about this match right now. So let's assess again the situation of the team right now. Before starting La Liga, I thought we would be going down again. But if we're here, then we need to learn to handle these kind of situations. We need to learn how to suffer and battle and come out of these ruts. Even if it's 2, 3, 4 defeats, then it's something that can happen and it's logical. All the teams that go through being the bottom 7 or 8 on the table, they go through these kind of things. I can go to teams that are supposed to be higher up on the table, and it can happen to them too. So the boys are looking forward to training and preparing Sunday. And yes, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very difficult. But we need to be together, we need to be fighting, and we need to be working. Hopefully we can win on Sunday, and it will be a baby step forward. But we can't be distracting ourselves with things that we don't need to be talking about. We need to remain calm because it's not easy.
Ha competido en todos los partidos. Y ha estado en los partidos, y ha tenido sus opciones, y ha podido ganar.
But we need to stop talking about the Madrid match now.
Y eso es como vamos a estar. Si queréis que vamos ahí a salir y borrar a alguien del mapa, lo vamos a llevar muy claro. O sea, creo que somos un equipo que tiene sus virtudes y sus defectos y que vamos a ir.
I think we're a team with their weak points and their strong points.
Que teníamos que estar alguna vez en posición de descenso. Hasta ahora no estamos.
And we've been obviously contemplating the possibility that we might be in a position to be relegated. But if we are, or when we are in that position, we need to learn how to battle against that.
Y es así, entonces hay que estar juntitos, tranquilidad, a trabajar, a corregir errores, a recuperar gente, que eso sí que espero que nos pueden ayudar.
We need to be calm. For example, look how we did against Alaves, and just work hard and work together and go forward.
El tema de las lesiones y resultados está en un momento complicado. Se multiplica por dos el hecho de que ahora después de Levante viene Real Sociedad o toca Real Sociedad Sevilla.
Is it doubly difficult that now after Levante we've got Real Sociedad and Sevilla taking into account all these injuries? I'm not even thinking about those situations. This is La Liga.
No decía como excusa que el año pasado decía al revés, ¿vale? Somos uno de los presupuestos más bajos de la
It's not an excuse that last year I was saying it the other way around.
Pues a sufrir como a tope cada partido y a pelear y a rascar cada punto y a pelear cada partido.
We just have to go out and scrape it for every point in every match, and of course there might be teams that are better than us, but we need to battle against them to get those points. And you're talking about matches that is 3 weeks away.
Sí, Luis Teres de la cadena COPE. No sé, Luis, si en algún momento de
From
la carrera
COPE?
tuya te has encontrado la situación que hacías de referencia de lesiones, ¿no? Que
I was wondering
se
if
vaya lesionando casi
you've
toda
ever seen this
la
magnitude of
central y todo lo que
injuries
queremos,
in the extent of your career.
La verdad que no. Puedo haber tenido
No, not really, I have to say.
que te hagan estar, pero han coincidido que es un central, otros son punta, otros son banda.
Sometimes we've had injuries, but people in very different positions, but having 3 midfielders injured at the same time.
Yo que sé, pues ya por tener algo ahí, pero ni entrenó ayer con el equipo. O sea, estaba así.
But yes, I mean, today
El martes se incorpora al grupo y poco a poco podrá llegar para.
one of our players, we put them in the kit just to be there as support, but they didn't even train with us yesterday. Hopefully next week it'll be a little bit different.
Vamos a ver después del parón si se recupera, pero ya os digo que para Levante no llegan. Pues bueno, es lo que te pasa, el fútbol a veces.
But obviously they won't be ready for Levante.
Y lo que tenemos que hacer es no llorar, simplemente exponer la situación.
This is part of football. We can't cry about it. Obviously we've got to put ourselves in the situation, but we just need to work through it.
Okay. Muchas gracias a
Vale,
todos.
gracias. Hasta luego.
Thank you very much.
Bueno, finaliza aquí la rueda de prensa de Luis
All right, so
García
that is the end of the press round for Luis García Plaza.
Bueno, pues ya para finalizar, Juanjo Dobla, ¿cómo valoras las palabras del
So just to end now, Juanjo, what do you think about the answers that he was giving there in the press conference?
Sí, bueno, en relación al partido de hoy, pues es que
In relation to today's match,
el OSASUNA,
I think he's absolutely right. Osasuna in 2 out of the 3 goals, one was outside the area. It was true that the defense couldn't have done much better, and then it was an impeccable fault from Íñigo. So Íñigo, Osasuna really took advantage of some of their opportunities that were far away from the goal, and people need to be aware of that. Also, it's about talking about and sharing the reality on the team right now. We're going up against very difficult rivals. Other teams don't have the handicap of all our injuries right now, but that means that we can't be negative and we can't put our guard down. Nobody wants to be a point away from the bottom 12, but we need to be aware of the moment that we're in right now. I don't want anybody to hang their heads down now, because Mallorca does have a team that they can compete with. And we need to be confident that we can still win matches. So, Juanjo, next weekend we have the match against Levante, 4:15. So we are ending now the transmission of the post-match from Mallorca Stadium. So obviously we've got the painful aspect of today with the defeat against Osasuna, but next Saturday there's another match, another opportunity to play and win. Let's not stop believing in our team. And I'm sure it's a team that has a lot to offer next weekend. So onwards and upwards. Thank you very much.